Good morning. I am doing some Bible study, and I thought I would bring you guys along. I opened my book kind of blindly and just let God lead me in what He wanted me to read this morning. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm in Isaiah 1 at verse 21, and we're going to read through to verse 31. See how the faithful city has become a prostitute. She once was full of justice. Righteousness used to dwell in her, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross. Your choice wine is diluted with water. Your rulers are rebels. Partners and thieves, they all love bribes and chase after gifts. They do not defend the cause of the fatherless. The widow's case does not come before them. Therefore, the Lord Almighty, the Mighty One of Israel, declares, I will vent my wrath on my foes and avenge myself on my enemies. I will turn my hand against you. I will thoroughly purge away your dross and remove all your impurities. I will restore your leaders as in days of old, your rulers as at the beginning. Afterward, you will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion will be delivered with justice, her penitent ones with righteousness. But rebels and sinners will both be broken, and those who forsake the Lord will perish. You will be ashamed because of the sacred oaks in which you have delighted. You will be disgraced because of the gardens that you have chosen. You will be like an oak with fading leaves, like a garden without water. The mighty man will become tinder, and his work a spark. Both will burn together, with no one to quench the fire. So my Bible study book has some applicability to the verses below, so I'm going to go ahead and read that. Isaiah often speaks with both the near present and far future in mind. His prophecies do not necessarily apply to one event, but may apply to a series of present and future events. Here, he is likely talking about a time in his near future when justice would prevail, and also the time when God will establish a new heaven and earth, and all his people will forever live in a land of complete justice. Throughout history, large old trees, especially oak trees, have been a symbol of strength, and in biblical times, they were often chosen as places for pagan worship. Unfortunately, God's people had joined in the idol worship associated with these trees. The prophet Ezekiel mentioned that groves of trees were used as places for idol worship in Ezekiel 6:13. Are you devoted to symbols of strength and power that rival God's place in your life? Does your love for any interests or commitments border on worship? As you continue to make God your first loyalty, you will discover that he supplies all the strength and power you need. Then everything else you thought was so important will fade over time. A spark set to tinder ignites a quick, devouring fire. God compares mighty people whose evil deeds devour them to such a fire. A life can be destroyed quickly by a small but deadly spark of evil. What potential fire hazards do you need to remove? So that last one, that last little bit about sparking a fire, it's in this world, we tend to want to get revenge or be the bringer of justice or karma. Excuse me. And that's a dangerous road. As we sit here and try to formulate a plan of revenge or a plan of justice, it can consume us and pull us away from God. But worse than that, things can always become out of hand really quickly. There's definitely some serious evil out in the world where somebody, maybe intentionally commits crime. But sometimes things can start by just a little spark, right? Oh, this person bullied me, so I'm gonna, try to get them back by what may have been perceived as a minor inconvenience, like something that might just, scare them, or maybe it's intended to cause maybe a little bit of hurt, but something goes wrong, and now maybe that person dies, or I'm just gonna this person is driving like an idiot on the road, so I'm just gonna quickly give them a brake check just to show them what for. And they, you brake check somebody, and then that person loses control of their vehicle, crashes and dies. These things are dangerous, and a little spark of, hey, I'm going to get back, rather than turning to God and saying, hey, God, this person wronged me, but I'm going to let you handle the issuance of justice, because you're all powerful and all knowing and all willing. So it can be problematic if we start to take that within ourselves and do it for us, and it can get us in trouble. So I think that's something that we need to remember, when we're trying to maybe get back at somebody, or worrying about going after somebody else. We see it a lot. So this person is wrong, so I'm going to go after them, and try to harm their business or harm their reputation or anything like that. And that is problematic. I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight for what's right. I definitely am a person that believes in standing up to bullies. I'm dealing with a bully in my life myself currently, despite the fact that we're not in high school. But it can be difficult. I really do have to remind myself to not let this person, who clearly has, a lot of hurt and insecurity within themselves, so much so that they feel the need to bully others. I need to make sure that I don't let that take me away from what my purpose is. And I believe that my purpose is to train dogs and witness the word of God. And so that's what I'm trying to keep my focus on. But what struck me when I first started to read through this passage is, to kind of look at where our world is now in this day and age with, people, our leaders. I think we've seen a lot of our leaders recently. It's been revealed to us how corrupt that some of this is, and the monetary laundering that's gone on within the government of the United States of sending money here and sending money there. And it's only just begun that we're having this revealed to us. And so we still have a lot to learn about it. So I haven't been able to keep up with all of it because I'm just kind of waiting for it all to come out. But there's definitely a lot of similarities of what was going on in Zion when this was written, and to compare it to what's going on in maybe our country today. And so we need to remember that is exactly why we can't stop what's going to happen. But what we can do is remember that that's why we need Jesus. That's why we need to stay focused on him, keep our eyes on him, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's been prophesized. But if we keep our eyes on Jesus and we remember to stay on mission, then we can bring as many people as possible to God, hopefully, before the end, before they die or before the rapture. And hopefully, that makes a difference, right? Because that's really the ultimate goal, is to, God doesn't want any of us to perish, but some of us will. And so as many that we can bring to God, the better, right? So I thought that was a very interesting passage, something to kind of look at and see, what's going on in our world today. There's definitely a lot of similarities. I don't necessarily know that our world is more evil or just differently evil. There's definitely a lot of evil that we can read in the Bible of things that were going on, especially back in the Old Testament. But there's definitely differently evil things that are transpiring in this day and age. As technology progresses, there's newer ways for evil to thrive, I guess. So very good passage, very interesting. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any thoughts on what was read today, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear what maybe you interpreted, or what you got from that, what maybe God put on your heart from that passage today. So thank you for reading along with me, and I hope you have a blessed week.